Next guest on the Rink Shrinks podcast is the pride of Springfield, Mass. He even has a tattoo to prove it. He's played in 564 NHL games with the Bruins, Panthers, Rangers, and the Ducks. He was an All-Star this past season and scored a career-high 37 goals. Please welcome to the show, Franky Vatrano. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Love to get into your path and everything, but as we have you here and the playoffs are in full swing, with some former teams that you played for, what are your thoughts on some of the matchups and what you've seen so far?
Yeah, it's always an exciting time of the year. Obviously, it's tough when you're not playing in it, but I'm always a fan, always watching, especially with former teams playing and buddies still playing. It's been a lot of fun to follow. It's been fun to follow, and I think this year there's really no clear-cut team that could win. I think there's so many teams that are so deep and could win. Like if you look at Vegas and Dallas, like that could have been easily, Stanley Cup final. And
right.
It's just the way that the NHL does the seedings. I can go on all day about how the seeding should be, but that's how it is and how they want the game to be. So, the playoffs have been great. It's been some good matchups.
What were your thoughts on, obviously, being a Boston guy, the Game 7 that we saw this past weekend? Obviously, Boston goes up 3-1, and it's kind of like, oh boy, here we go again. And they came out. Monty kind of calls out Pastor a little bit, and he they rallied, and he obviously delivered in an enormous moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pastor is one of the best players in the league, and sometimes those guys are different. Those guys that are all-stars this league are different, and the guys that score 40-plus goals every year, like they know when they're not playing well, and sometimes that little kick in the butt you get is what really picks you up. And I think you can maybe credit Monty a little bit there, but Pass was one that scored the goal. But that series was awesome. I don't, with Toronto coming in, they had the hot. Everything was going well for them. The goaltending was playing great, and then Swayman's been playing great too. So I think when you go with Game 7 at TD Garden, it's kind of hard to bet against the Boston Bruins.
Nice. And you played for the Panthers and the Rangers for a bit there, and different organizations. I'm not calling you a suitcase by any means because it's only been a few teams. Like I played for quite a few, so like it was just having a perspective on different organizations and approaches, and kind of top to bottom kind of connectivity between management, coaching, and players. But could you just talk about like the three teams that are in that spot? And I don't know, like if you're not biased, but like I know you're playing for Anaheim now, but like say you come through Boston, you're Boston, Massachusetts kid, but you had tons of success in Florida. Like, can you talk about like those experiences as you went through?
I think obviously playing in Boston was unbelievable. To be a part of that, group that was there, guys that won, and knowing what it takes to be an NHL every single day. I'm very fortunate to have that experience being in Boston. How to be a true pro every single day. Have Berge, Marsh, Kretsch, Z. You can go all the way down the list. They teach you the right way, and obviously I was young at the time, and in Boston, they want to win every single year. So there's a lot of pressure. And at a young age, you don't really understand it as much. I wish I played there later on in my career once you're kind of established and you get to enjoy it a little bit more. But going to Florida was great for me. I got to play in a pretty good role, top nine and some power play time. And I kind of revamped my career from Boston, and I got to show what kind of player I was. And obviously when new management comes in and Q obviously gets fired and we have different coach, sometimes their picture's a little bit different. And, they obviously didn't see me in their plans in Florida, and, they moved me on to New York. And I think that move to New York was probably one of the biggest things that happened at the point in my career. I think when I was there, I was 28 years old, and, kind of a guy that was known to be a guy you could move up and down the lineup, and kind of was established as a third line left winger, which, to even play, on the fourth line or anywhere in the NHL is an honor. So I always knew I could play a top six role. And I finally got that opportunity in New York as soon as I got there. I played with Mika and Kreids, and went on a long cup run and fell short against Tampa. But I think I proved to myself and a lot of people that I could play in this league in a top 6 role and be effective at it. And Anaheim came calling in the summer, and that was one of the teams I wanted to go to. And I'm there now, and I love it. I'm happy. I love what Pat Verbeek's doing there. I think we have a lot of young talent, and I'm obviously excited to be a part of it here for the next few years and hopefully many years to come. And it's really jump-started my career again.
And you talked about that culture in Boston, and obviously, you had the joy of playing with my brother Keith down in Florida. But what was the, what are those things that now, like you just mentioned, the taking on more of a leadership role, being an older guy, being a guy that's played 500 games already in the league, and an NHL All-Star. Like, what type of tips did you take from those type of guys? That you now are kind of relaying to the younger players. That you look at the Anaheim roster, and it's like, you got 18, 19-year-old kids that are going to be future superstars in this league.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I learned, early on in my career is like every day matters. Everything you do in the gym, everything you put in your body, and how you train in the off season. Watch video, do everything you can to make yourself, the best player possible. Always ask questions. And I think the guys in Anaheim are comfortable coming to us older guys and asking us questions, or if they have any concerns or something's bothering them, they come to us and ask us anything. And I'm glad that they feel comfortable coming to us about that stuff. But like I said, I think teaching guys the right way and leading by example, it goes a long way, and because those younger guys will follow what you're doing.
That's really good stuff. What are your thoughts on Cutter Gauthier, just as far as your first impressions? I mean, I did some college games, I did some BC games, and I saw him, and he seemed like more of a complete player than some at that age. But time will tell. He just had a short taste. But can you just give us your assessment on him?
Yeah, he's going to be a great player in this league. I think him and Leo Carlson are going to do some damage for many years to come. Cutter's obviously, he's a big kid. Obviously, he has he can grow in his body for sure. He's 19, 20 years old. So he's got tons of room to grow. And, the way he can shoot the puck, the way he can skate, I think he's a complete package. And, I can't wait to see what he's going to be like next year. He's going to be a big part of our organization.
That's great stuff. I love it.
Yeah, I love McTavish too. I would talk about, the guys that you're playing with, but he just seems like a throwback hockey player that, you could read off of pretty well if you played with him quite a bit, and that he's going to compete for pucks. He's going to do the right things consistently. And this is a young kid, playing a very kind of mature game. So whenever I watch your games, I like him. Yeah,
I play with him most of the year, and he's awesome to play with. He's, like you said, he's a young kid. He's a top 5 pick. Super talented, but he plays the game the right way. He competes. He's physical. He always wants to get better.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the game. I'm good buddies with him, so
Good.
That obviously makes it a lot better on the ice. You can take some criticism a little bit, but there's not much to criticize his game about. So, I just try to be there and help him as much as I can.
That's
great stuff.
He's a guy like Mike Richards, that I used to like. He was kind of more. He was younger than me, but I always admired his game because he was tough to play against.
I was going to say, you probably hated to play against him.
Yeah, he was tough to play against, but he was skilled enough to do some cool stuff, offensively, but also was just always in the right positions and competed hard and could kind of light you up at times too. But but that's kind of how I look at McTavish, and you guys have some really good chemistry out there. So it's good to hear that you have some good off-ice chemistry too.
A playoff guy. You can see him just, as you guys progress and stop making the playoffs, he's going to be a guy that you're going to lean on and make a run with. Those are the type of players you need.
For sure. I think it's a lost part of the game, I think, now with the younger guys is, everyone thinks they need to pick the puck up and do all the fancy stuff, but you can have a good career by playing the game the right way, both ways, skilled and playing it hard.
Yeah, and he has a cool, beard already. Like, so
Yeah,
it's
he's
like
22. He looks like he's 45.
exactly. That's good stuff.
He's got that Jack disease. What was that movie with Robin Williams there where he aged like
Oh, Jack.
Jack?
Yeah.
It was Jack, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's
He
a
was
great
in the
flick.
third grade. He was like, looks like he was 60.
I might start calling him Jack.
Yeah.
Make sure
We
you let
call
him
him-
know I'm calling him that.
We call him Ogie Oglethorpe,
Yes, he's got some of that in him.
because he looks just like him. So
That's good stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
All right,
just
well, take us back.
well,
Motts,
but
did you have
before we
something
bring
else?
it back,
Yeah.
we're
All right.
right here. I just wanted to ask a few questions about Coach Cronin. I had him at World Juniors back in the day, and just how his influence on a younger group and his approach. Could you talk about that?
yeah, I mean his coaching style is kind of the coaching style I've been used to my entire life.
Yeah.
Playing in Massachusetts and playing for Boston parents and all that stuff. Brutally honest and straight to the point.
Yeah.
Obviously, it can hurt at times, and you can either take it to heart or kind of listen to the message. So I think it's definitely for us younger guys. It was definitely eye opening to see what it's like to be held accountable and how to make yourself as best as possible every single day. He wants things done right and done hard, and he wants guys to work hard. I don't think we have an issue with any of the guys on our team that don't work hard. So, having that message every single day has been good. I think it teaches you, how to be a pro every single day on the ice in practice and during games and what to expect. And he's super detailed. And I think it's what we need with a young group is, pay attention to details, everything, because in the NHL, the room for error is so small, and the more you can break down the game and simplify it, which is what he does, is huge for the younger guys. Especially as an older guy, you're always trying to learn and make yourself as valuable as you can to the team.
Yeah, his attention to detail and intensity was something that I really appreciated as well. The honesty and straightforward approach to giving you what you needed. And he was in a suit and tie, bench pressing 350 pounds before a game.
Still does.
He just comes out and he's like, "Let's go, boy!" Kicks his foot through a trash can, and I just really enjoyed that type of, like you said, not uncommon from what you experienced growing up.
No,
So,
not at all.
yeah,
not even a little bit.
I always respected his coaching, and he's a good guy too. So make sure you tell him I say hello when you get back.
All right, let's rein this thing in and talk about growing up. Obviously, born in Springfield, grew up in the western part of the state here. But what was like, and I know you get some brothers. So what was the youth hockey experience like, getting into hockey, and when did you develop that passion and love for the game?
Yeah, I think being the youngest of four boys. If you ask my mom, she really had five boys if you include my dad. So, but two out of my three brothers played hockey, and as a kid growing up, all of us are 4 years apart, so I'm the youngest. So, I'm born 94, 90, 86, 82. So there's a pretty big age gap between me and my oldest brother, and I always just wanted to fit in with them, and I wanted to play with them at all times. So the only spot I could play when they're out in the driveway is goalie. So I would just strap the pads on, and my mom said one day I was like 2.5 years old, and I just had my brother's rollerblades on. I was around the driveway and skating. I'm basically born in the rink with my brothers practicing and stuff. So that's my parents knew I wanted to play hockey, and then they put me in at a young age. Obviously played hockey around here, learned to skate, and then getting into more competitive hockey. I played for the Springfield Picks, and I played actually 2 years up here. I was 94. I played 92s, and then my parents, obviously being good parents, and looking out for me, I moved me back in age. So I played 93s, and that's when I went out to Marlboro, and I played for the Minutemen Flames. Played for the Picks for a year or two, and just at the time, the hockey wasn't great around here, the talent wise, and playing against the best talent. I think I was fortunate enough that my parents own their own business and their pizza shop, that they took time out of their day to drive me down to practice twice a week and twice on the weekends to play games. So always be fortunate of that. And playing for the Flames was great. You get to play against the best team at the time. It was the Metro Boston Hockey League. I know you guys played in that league. And I think, I think maybe Squirt Major, Pee Wee Minor is what it turned into, what it is now, the Feds. So, I still think, I know everyone that's in youth hockey now, coach, and I always say, it doesn't matter. Fed hockey is still the best league going. It always has been and always will. So I don't want to hear about these other teams that play in these other leagues because nothing compares to it. But no, yeah, I was youth hockey was great for me. I think playing for the Flames and my parents making that sacrifice for me was huge for my development.
And around that time, you went to the Quebec tourney. So I mean,
heartbreaker.
But BY likes to talk about that as well. But you had a pretty good team, right? So maybe you guys can catch up on experiences on that. I know BY will want to.
Yeah. I'll never forget that tournament. I think we actually went all the way through the losers bracket. We
you cheated that way.
Well, Messier was coaching I remember he was coaching the Junior Rangers at the time. We lost to them.
Never heard of him.
Lost to them, and then we had to go through the losers bracket. But thinking about like the teams we played in the losers bracket, like we played Colorado Junior Avalanche, which had like Seth Jones on it, and then we played the Pittsburgh Hornets. They had Trocheck, JT Miller, John Gibson. Like think about the teams. Then we had to play all three Detroit teams. So we played Honeybaked. We played Honeybaked, Caesars, and then we played CompuWare in the final. We lost to CompuWare.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so thinking back, we went to the losers bracket. We kind of went through the gauntlet.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was just up there this past year with my younger boy and my youngest, I should say, and we ended up winning our first game. So we were in, and it's same thing. It's do or die, right? And the team that we beat in the first game was a team from British Columbia, and they ended up like winning their way out of it, and then they ended up losing in the finals to Mid Fairfield. But it was crazy. Like we were down to the Final Four in the winners bracket. It was us and Mid Fairfield, the LA Junior Kings, and Little Caesars, and it was like, I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. Even to coach in it was crazy, right? And I remember it as a kid in the old Colisée, and my team was able to pull out a W there, and we won it. But it's amazing to now go back as a parent and as a coach to experience it. I know my son will never forget it.
Yeah, it's still a tournament. I always say it's probably one of the highlights of my hockey career. It was obviously it was a long time ago. You kind of forget a little bit, but I'm excited as my kids get older, maybe be in hockey and get to coach in that tournament. It'll be a blast.
Yeah, run it back. That'll be great.
It'd be unbelievable.
And how old are the kids?
I have a 1-year-old right now, girl, and then I have another girl on the way in October. So
nice.
Unless they have a girls tournament going on. I don't know.
If there's a way to make money up there, they're doing it. They got the girls going. They got the girls down for sure. You talked about your youth hockey and playing and everything, but I wanted to bring it back to the pizza business. Like, who's the best out of the four boys at slinging pies?
Well, I don't know if you heard the story. I was the one out of the four that never worked there. My oldest brother.
Yeah, because your parents were carting you around the state, bringing you to hockey.
Yeah. So my oldest brother would work there in high school and stuff. He would kind of do prep work in the back, so you didn't really have to deal with customers or anything like that. And then my other brother made dough, so you don't have to go in an hour out of the day if you ever didn't have to go in some days and just make dough. My dad would give him $100. And then my other brother knows how to run the business to the T, orders up front, with the customers, kind of in the heart of it. And then this is when I got booted out of BC, and I was kind of in between going to school and junior, and I wanted to have some of my own money, so showed up to the restaurant, and I used to just go there for a slice of pizza and $20. My mom would slide it in my back pocket. My dad was like, "Yeah, what do you want to do today?" I was like, "I don't know, just probably do something in the back, hang out, whatever." He's like, "And you see that broom over there? I want you to go sweep the parking lot." I go, "It's 25 degrees outside. I'm not sweeping the parking lot." He goes, "All right. I want you to answer the phone to wait on customers." He's like, "Well, I don't want to do that." He goes, "Well, Frank, I don't know what I can do for you." He goes, I don't think this is for you." So I was there for 25 minutes. My mom gave me a 20 like she always does, and I left.
That's how
You couldn't even get a job as like the delivery guy or something?
Nothing. Dude, you don't want to deliver in this area. Your car, you might go in, your car might be gone.
That's awesome. You can't even get a job at your parents' business. That's
No,
awesome.
I got fired 20 minutes in.
Couldn't even sweep the lot.
No.
Oh, that's classic. But back to a serious note. So, high school kind of out there, obviously, we all grew up, and my father likes to tell the story that Springfield Cathedral, when they started, kind of getting on the map. And I remember my father was coaching Canton High School, and they kind of, started playing them, and they started coming a lot out east,
Yeah.
whatever it is, like closer to the Boston area, and playing more and more teams. And now they've built up, a great program out there. Obviously, Springfield Cathedral ended up. How did it become Pope Francis? How did the two schools
Yeah, so
merge?
so the school got hit by a tornado in June. Actually, this is when I was at the NTDP. So it would have been my junior year at Cathedral. It got hit by a tornado in the spring, and it got knocked down. It was kind of, at the time, the school was really hurting for, to get kids to go to school there. Like, there was, in my grade, I think there was maybe 85 kids in my grade. So the school was pretty small and the school was massive. So they were hurting for admissions. And then, they were at an elementary school for 5 years. So they didn't really know what they were going to do with the whole, school and stuff. And then there's another, I'm drawing a blank. Holyoke Catholic was another high school in Holyoke, Mass. And they kind of merged with Cathedral, and they ended up becoming Pope Francis. It's kind of like a preparatory now. I mean, even though it's probably still like a CM or MC, all those schools out of Boston, but they call it prep. They did a good job with the school. The attendance is back up, and they do a good job with their sports there. I think that's the biggest draw of getting their students is obviously the hockey program, and all the other sports. I think it's the best in the area.
But you never actually played for Cathedral. You were always playing. What was that like? Was that Eastern Junior League back there? Were you playing with the Junior Bruins?
Yeah, so I actually played for the Junior Bruins in 8th grade.
Okay.
So I played Empire. Obviously the Master brothers were a huge part of my development growing up. They were great to me, and credit a lot of my success to them at a young age. Like, they took 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. I played for the Junior Bruins. So 8th and 9th, I played Empire, and then my sophomore, I played Empire again and played a few games in the EJ, and I'll forever be grateful for that, because the Masters could have moved me up to play on the EJ and playing with bigger and better guys, but I got the chance to play Empire and a good team, and play in the top role and kind of rip it up. So but I never played for Cathedral, even though my best buddy's dad's the coach. So kind of tough. I kind of wish now, thinking back at it, maybe played 1 year, but I don't regret any of my decisions I've done in hockey at all.
Yeah, and they've had some success and some good players coming through there, within the last 5 years as well. Ryan Leonard played there, and Ryan Shaw, both my son's age, and they're moving on to college, and Leonard had a spectacular year at BC, in my opinion. But just to see that program kind of really keep growing, and I heard the story about the tornado coming through, and that's scary. I mean,
if you ask your brother Keith, he goes, it's a tornado that no one ever heard about.
Exactly.
So, of course, it hit Springfield. That's exactly what he says every time.
It's unbelievable, but it's a scary thing. But kind of had to make some decisions to join up with another school to make it happen, and they actually had some good athletes on the football field as well. They beat Duxbury in the Super Bowl a few years back, and they had this freshman quarterback that was just like lights out, like unbelievable. Yeah, so I was going there with my pom-poms for Duxbury, and they have like 10 D1 kids going to Pope Francis. So but that's great to hear that you're able to go to school with your buddies, and the Masters brothers really took care of you. I went to college with both of them, and super people, great in development, understand, like the passion that, you showed, and, you allowed them, to do their job and make sure that you had success. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I want to talk about your parents and kind of like what their role was in all this. Obviously, like you said, one of 4 boys, and your older brothers played hockey, a couple of them. But like, were they, hard on you? Was it like, I guess like, what were they like? Were they, really, really high expectations, or was it just like, go have fun and we're going to get behind you as much as we can and drive you to Marlboro every week?
Yeah, they weren't strict at all. Like if I told my parents I didn't want to play, they never forced anything on me at all.
Unless you were working for them in the pizza shop for 20 minutes.
Exactly. My dad never told me if I had a good game or a bad game. My mom was a little bit more the outspoken one, but I wouldn't call her a crazy hockey mom. She just wanted what's best for her son, and was always looking out for me, number one. Especially me I always played a year up, so especially a one year difference at certain ages is a huge jump. So, just trying to learn. I think at a young age, I learned how to protect myself and all that stuff. But for me, my parents just, as long as I was having fun, and obviously they never thinking back now, they never thought I was ever going to play in the NHL. I mean, I remember talking to my dad about this a couple of years ago. He's like, the one thing I did with you as a kid was, you played Squirt Major. If you did Squirt Major, they'll say, okay, we'll move on to the next level. He always took it for me one step at a time. And then obviously when you commit to college and, you get picked for the national team, I think that's when you realize it can become a reality. And I think my parents understood that. And that's when I kind of made the sacrifice with hockey. But, before, high school, I was a baseball player in the spring, summer, put my hockey gear away. I played maybe one tournament a year, and that's when I was probably in 8th grade when hockey started to get a little bit more serious. But I think I hear you guys always talk about it all the time, and I'm such a firm believer in is no one's making the NHL at 9, 10, 11 years old. And I think parents forget about that. I think you have to play as many sports as possible. I mean, even if you play 2 sports, you play hockey in the winter and fall, and you play baseball spring and summer, or lacrosse, whatever you want to do. I think, it's good to get your mind off it. You don't want to be burnt out. You have your whole life to, enjoy hockey, hopefully, and, be a part of that, whatever it is, less than 1% to play in the NHL. But you can only be a kid once, and you have to be a kid and enjoy, your friends and, your social life. You have to do that. I think it's huge.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. We do talk about it a lot, and just hearing it from someone who's experienced it and is playing in the top league and having great success in NHL All-Stars. So that's that was like spot on, right, BY? Like
it was almost like it was scripted.
Like we sent you the email to what we want you to talk about.
I think it's because I've said it to so many parents and just so many people just talking about like youth hockey. I'm just like, like I can't believe, like, obviously you guys are in the heart of it with, having kids playing and stuff. So you see it, firsthand. My oldest brother's son plays with Brian Boyle, coaches his team with Breakers. So just like hearing them, my mom, when she goes to the games to go watch her grandson, it's like, she's like, oh my God, these parents, like, I can't believe it. I was like, yeah, that was you back in the day. I can't believe it. But no, it's crazy. I think hockey just became a lot more popular, obviously, over the years. And I think with obviously social media and, back in the day, you used to have one rink you can go skate at. Now you have, guys who, can barely tie their skates trying to teach kids like how to shoot a puck. It's like, I can't. It drives me insane.
Well, speaking of that, who taught you how to shoot a puck?
My brother Greg. Yeah, he's hard on me.
In the driveway?
Yeah, the crazy thing, people always ask me like how, shoot the puck and all that stuff. I was like, I actually shot street hockey balls my entire life. Like I never shot pucks. And I think that's why my release is a lot different than a lot of guys. I kind of just snap it. I don't really have a wrist shot at all. It's kind of like a snapper. And I swear it's because I shot street hockey balls growing up, but that could just be me just, making up stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's funny you say getting those Franklin street hockey balls to work, Motts. I love it, but it's true because my kids, just living in the city where we do, my kids play a lot of like roller hockey and street hockey, and you can't handle a street hockey ball the same way that you do a puck on the ice, right? It just doesn't slide, and especially if it's like hot out and stuff. And a lot of it is just like a flick of the wrist and snapping the ball, and it makes total sense the way, now that you say it and watching you shoot a puck, like you have that quick release, flick of the wrist, snap, versus that, we say it to kids, and I'm seeing it.
Which is
Right.
unbelievable. I can't
Right.
like Matthews is the best shooter in the NHL, but I can't shoot the same puck as the way Austin Matthews shoots the puck. It's just some guys are taught differently to shoot the puck, and but it's whatever you're comfortable with, and try to make it work as best as possible.
Well, I don't think he could shoot, like Frank Vatrano though. So you just flip the script.
He just scores 70.
We'll talk about that decision now, like playing a few years with the junior Bruins, and what was that experience like? You hear so much, and now more than ever, right? The notoriety and the coverage that the national development program's kind of getting through social media, and now it's cool to see too, like this past weekend, right? The under 18 world championships, like those are all being televised more and more, and you got guys like Eiserman that are breaking goal scoring records, and Hudson breaking the defensive scoring records, right? But what was that kind of process like for you in this, getting selected to go out there as a junior and spending 2 years with the NTDP?
Yeah, I remember going through the whole process, and it was. I think I probably didn't know what the national team was until I was probably a freshman in high school, and then I think I got the chance to actually, when I was playing the junior Bruins, to watch a game. I think I was playing the Beantown Classic out in Exeter, and the NTDP was in that tournament playing an NHL team. So I got to see one of those games, and I was like, I want to play for this team so bad. And then obviously I got the chance to, I actually didn't go to the 40-man camp. I was kind of a earlier commit. At the time I was going to nationals with the junior Bruins. I'll never forget that Chris Masters called me in the office, be like, hey, we got nationals the same week as the 40-man camp, right? I was like, yeah, I already know that. He goes, yeah, I know you're going to be at nationals. I go, I know I am. I'm not going to 40-man camp. So
that's unbelievable. Doesn't surprise me though.
I'll never forget it, but I would never, obviously go against my word, and a team I was, obviously a guy who's been a huge part of my hockey career to get me to where I am now. And but no, it was a tough decision. It was a tough decision. It wasn't like I didn't want to leave home, but I always wanted to play for, USA, and I think it was huge for me. You get to play with the best guys, your age group, and at that young of an age, it teaches you really how to be a pro, how to be ready for the next level, and how to train, how to deal with school, and it gets you ready for college. You're playing against colleges at 17 years old, so where else are you gonna be able to do that? And to put you in front of 30 NHL scouts every single night, every single college, the exposure you get there is unbelievable. There's nothing like it, and especially now, it's like a complete hockey factory, complete differently than when I was there. Now these kids are going to the rink at 8 a.m. and doing online schooling, and then after a couple classes, they get to do skills work. So it's like so ever since they bought Plymouth, they've really upgraded everything, and now it's a real hockey factory, and you get to work on everything now. So, they've done an unbelievable job. I think, the NHL roster full of players speaks for itself. For anyone who's thinking about going or not going, I think that speaks for itself.
Now, as far as that exposure and playing with the top end players and having success on those teams, were you somewhat disappointed after your draft came and went and you did not get drafted?
Yeah, I think looking back at it now, and obviously
a couple different factors, maybe. Yeah,
I put a lot of that responsibility on like me not being drafted on my own. I should have been probably drafted in the top 3 rounds. I interviewed with 17 plus teams, and I was so out of shape. Like I was, obviously I did my training and my weightlifting, but I didn't take anything serious off the ice with eating and all that stuff. And I was just in bad shape. And I think teams saw that. And because I remember I went to the Bruins combine before the draft, and that's actually funny that they signed me, 3 years later. But I think once I went there, the word kind of got out that I was really out of shape. And, obviously at the end of the day, I didn't get picked, and it sucks to think about, but I was always taught that you got to earn everything you get, and you got to learn from experiences. And for me, I was never handed anything ever in my entire life, and my parents made sure that I worked for everything I got, and they always said that if you work hard and you'll be able to achieve your goals and your dreams. And I still every day I try to work as hard as I can, because I know someone's always trying to push you out the door, and as soon as you get comfortable, that's when you lose your job, or you don't want that to happen. So I was always taught that you got to earn for everything you get, even if you're drafted. If you're drafted in 7th round, 1st round, or weren't drafted, you still got to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good story for kids to hear, or kids coming through. It's you make sure that you take care of all aspects, and if that's a setback by some standards, and you work through it and work and earn where you got to today, by kind of figuring it out and learning from your experiences.
I got to hear some of the numbers from the out of shapeness. Like, so you're doing. I got to hear like how many pull-ups did you do or something? Because there's a pull-up test.
So the crazy thing with me was I was always fast. I'm 5'10". I was 5'10", 232 pounds.
What are you now? What are you playing at now?
I play at 5. I play at 205.
Yeah,
wow,
that's thick.
I was at the time I was 22% body fat. And you remember John Whiteside's Motts?
Oh yeah.
Oh my! Going to him out of shape, just forget it. It'll make you feel this big.
Yeah, like that happened to me after every off season. After every spring, coming back for summer workouts, he's like, "Motts, the loudest guy in the room, get over here." And then but he's one of a kind, and he would make you feel pretty bad, but in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
So 22% body fat. Do you remember the pull-ups or anything like that?
I remember we did. No, the only thing I remember from that is doing the 300-yard shuttles.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually the one. That's why the Bruins don't do it anymore. I broke my foot during my training camp. My second year. Yeah, but at the time when I did it, when I was fat, I think I you had to get a minute. I think the first one I blew my load, I got like 52 seconds. Then I went like 52, 103, like 110. So
it's not an easy test, but Bergeron's sitting there ripping off like a 46, 48, 50. Like crazy. Yeah.
You got everyone that works in the Bruins front office is standing on every one of the lines too. So make sure everyone's stopping on the lines. It's like, I better pass this test or it's gonna be good.
Oh God. We'll glance over the cup of coffee at BC, because this is a PG podcast here, and we don't want to send any real bad messages. But talk about that experience going out to UMass Amherst. Was that kind of where you, really started to like take the next level and the next steps in your training, and kind of like, all right, I really want to be a professional? Yeah,
I think. Obviously, everything that happened at BC is obviously terrible. Like, for at the time, looking back at it, wasn't, a great situation. And then I was fortunate that UMass, took me in, and it was always a school that I was familiar with, going to games there. I would always say I would love to play here one day, whether it's, on the team or, being obviously part of BC at the time. And I ended up playing for UMass, and, I think it was great for me. I obviously had the red shirt a year and a half. So, I only practiced and worked out, so I got really strong. I was always strong, but I learned how to, lift weights and take care of myself in the summer, and obviously still had to lose some unwanted poundage. So
you can just still call it baby fat back then,
no, not when you're 20, 19. So so I learned how to take care of myself a little bit, and then I'll never forget. I had a slow start. To the first 5 games of my college season, I remember thinking back, I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, my career might be over. Like, I haven't played hockey in 2 years. Like, I don't know what this is going to, like, the game feels so fast. Like, I feel like I'm not the same player I used to be. And then, something just flipped, and, I ended up finishing the year pretty strong. And I'll never forget, in like January, Don Sweeney called my agent, Peter Fish, was like, hey, like, I don't know what Franky's plans are. But if he wants to turn pro after this year, we would love to have him. And obviously hearing that, you're like, okay, well, you never know what could happen in 3 months. And until there's a contract in front of you, you don't know what's going to happen. So, come March, we lose to Notre Dame in the playoffs, and Boston called the first day I met with Sweens. And, at the time, being a free agent, you don't know when you're ever going to come across this opportunity again. And I'm so happy that I made that decision. I think it was the best decision I made.
Well, like looking back on that that draft conversation we had, it's more you wouldn't have had maybe the opportunity to sign with a team if you're under their rights, right? So you get drafted later round, and they're not valuing you like Boston did, after watching you. So things happen for a reason, right?
Absolutely, I'm a firm believer in that.
One guy I wanted to touch on while we just talking about UMass was, he kind of was a guy that's like at the beginning was like glanced over that he even played around here, but Brandon Montour obviously playing for Florida, and like I remember looking him up. Like I think it was the first year that he got down to Florida, because I think Keith was still on the team, and I was like, where did he come from? Like he played at UMass Amherst. It's being a Canadian kid, but what was he like in school? And obviously he just played the year too, and then obviously you've seen him now turn into a dynamic player down in Florida who can really fly. So what was he like? And now watching him,
obviously a really good buddy of mine. I never forget that.
You come in halfway through the year.
Yeah, he came in. Something to do with he was obviously he's native, so with his whatever his transcripts were from high school, like they didn't transfer over, so he was like ineligible. So he was playing in Waterloo, and he couldn't come over till the second semester. So all I heard about was guys like freshmen, like, "Oh, this kid's unreal." I was like, "Yeah, I never heard of him before."
You can imagine you and him must have been in the same classes, like down the street at the local middle school.
Yeah. I picked him up. From the airport, and I was like, nice to meet you. Whatever. Then all of a sudden, he gets on the ice. Like, this guy's unbelievable. Like in college, you should have seen him. He was basically a fourth forward. He'd lead the forecheck, and then he'd be the first guy back. Like quarterbacks the power play, and obviously he played half a year, signed in Anaheim, and then played in Anaheim, and then kind of situation as me. He got to Florida and completely revamped his career. But he was always that kind of player. He was always going to be a guy, if the coach just let him play and do his thing, like he was just going to take off and turn into the player he is today. I mean, the way you can see the skate and see the ice and shoot the puck, like there's not many defensemen like him out there.
Yeah, he seems pretty thick too. Like just like a thick body. Yeah,
he's always in great shape. Takes care of himself.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
That's awesome. We'll talk about that transition into pro hockey. Like, what was that like? Obviously, going to training camp. Was that the year that you got hurt? The first year you signed, or was it the following year?
No, I got hurt my second year, so that was tough for me. I think that was kind of that year. Well, yeah, my first year, obviously coming into training camp and seeing guys I grew up idolizing at training camp, and I didn't know what my expectations were. I was 21 at the time, so you're like, yeah, I'm just like. I never once thought I was going to play in the NHL. I just knew I had an NHL contract, and was like, I'm going to go in the American League and have a good career in the American League. And you know what I mean? Like, I literally never thought I'd play in the NHL. And then my first game in Providence, I had 4 goals, and then I kept scoring and scoring and scoring. I was like, what? Like, I don't even have stats like this in squirts. Like, I think when I got called up, I had 12 goals in 12 games. Yeah. Then I ended up finishing the year with 36 goals in 36 games. And, like, I don't think I could even do that today. Like, I don't even know. I just had such a good team, such a good power play that, I was put in a good spot to, produce. And I loved it down there. Probably such a great group of guys. It was awesome. And then obviously got the chance to get called up and play for the Bruins, and, got sent down a couple of times. But I think at the time they didn't want to rush me, and it was good for my development to, go down to Providence and kind of play in a good role and be on the power play and, get a chance to succeed. And then the second year is when I got kind of sucked. I, broke my foot in training camp. And I think that year I was going to have an opportunity to start the year with, either Bergeron and playing with Marchand. And then I break my foot in training camp and, kind of got set back a little bit and didn't play until, after Christmas. And then started off hot and got a little slow, and then that was kind of my end of my career in Boston. Got traded the next year.
What was that first NHL game experience like for you and your family?
Unbelievable.
Who was it against?
Montreal, in Montreal.
Oh,
Winter Classic preview game. So
cool.
It was cool. I remember as a kid watching all the playoff series with Boston and Montreal, and Montreal always winning. Obviously, before Boston won the Cup, so this is mid 2000s, early 2000s, and when Montreal really had Boston's number. And I think being a kid from Massachusetts and playing for the Bruins, first game in Montreal was unreal. I'll never forget it. Still to this day, I love going back to that rink. So I think there's no rink like it. It's such a fun place to play.
Yeah.
Did the whole family make the trip up?
So my mom didn't go. My dad and my Uncle Barry came. They got through the border without passports or birth. I don't know how. They finagled their way through the border. They thought they would just get it. I think my uncle showed his badge, and my dad told them hey, I'm going to see my son's first NHL game.
They're like, yeah, he plays for the Bruins. Beat it.
They told my dad, oh, your son, 12 goals, 12 games in the American League. Yeah, go on through. So my dad, they went through. I think they got there an hour maybe before game time. I don't think they got a chance to stop at the hotel. They got spoiled. They put him up at the Ritz. My dad was taking advantage of the heated toilet seats. And
Oh, that's so good.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, can you talk about your first NHL goal?
Yeah, I remember. I think I got a cross-ice seam from David Krejci. Kind of caught on the half wall on the left wing side, and I curled up the top of the hash marks to the blue line and kind of just threw a sifter in. It was actually on a fellow Mass guy too, Mike Condon. So I always thank him for that one. Just kind of sifted it in, and it went right in. And then I don't think I scored another goal for 18 games.
But you were good
NHL. This is so easy. And then,
you're good on the wall and getting pucks deep and stuff, though, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Motts.
No, I just had. I was just looking something up real quick, but do you know how many times you weren't in the running for the Cy Young?
How many times I wasn't?
Yeah.
I think I'm in it almost every year.
Yeah. I just did a quick look, but I would say 1 year.
1 year in Florida, right?
Yeah, in Florida.
That was the COVID year. They got shut down.
Exactly. Yeah. But you would have been more wins than losses.
I think it's an unreal stat. That's a great stat.
Yeah, I like it too because I know you're a shoot first guy and a scorer, so that's why I was just looking up. Sorry, I was kind of cutting you off, BY, but I
love it.
I would have loved to have just been an apple orchard for you. Just pass them your pucks, one timers, and
his brother gave me a few nice apples over the years, so great.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. So, moving down to Florida, what was that experience like? And I mean, it must be good. You probably didn't really know Keith as you were going down.
I didn't know Keith at all. The only guy I knew on the team was Mike Matheson because he was my roommate at BC for a month. So that's the only person I knew. But no, I got to know Keith. Obviously, he became one of my really good buddies, and there's no one like him. He welcomed me with open arms, and obviously, his wife and the kids, everyone's great, and miss him. I don't get to see him a lot now. I talk to him obviously every once in a while, but Florida was great. I think it's definitely a place that I can see myself when I'm done living. That's the plan right now. So maybe if they have another house for sale in Sea Ranch Lakes, I'll be right there next to your brother.
Yeah, seriously. With that contract you signed, you could get in there. You could maybe a condo or something.
Yeah, I'll get a condo right on. You know what I mean? Probably have to get timeshare, to be honest with you. In that
they just haven't built an in-law suite.
So his house is big enough.
Yeah, no.
Seriously. Oh God, I can't even get the invite down there.
You just got to show up.
Yeah, no. It's it's a beautiful area. I love it down there, and every time this winter was brutal. I say it was brutal, but having 3 kids playing hockey and tournaments and travel and stuff, I just wasn't able to get down there. But we're marking the calendar to get the next trip is, whenever we can get down there and play a little golf and get something on the books for sure. Cause it's
at the Grove.
I know. Have you got out there?
Yeah. I think during COVID, I probably played there 10 times. That's
awesome.
the only course we played. It was great. It was awesome. Saw someone new every single time we were up there.
My son, my oldest, was down there because he's a Cushing, so he gets like the long break, and he played it twice. And yeah, I'm like, thanks for the hat, buddy. He brought me back a hat.
I go to the pro shop. Well, Keith is always spoils us, never makes us pay. So you donate like $1,500 to the pro shop because you want to buy everything in there.
Yeah. Well, my nephew and my son went down, and they're like, yeah, Dad, the pro shop's awesome. Like, everything's for free. I got Jordan cleats. I got this, that. And my nephew was telling his father, and he's like, dude, you idiot. Like, that, it's not for free. Like, this kid goes to Roxbury Latin. He's like, you're a real smart kid, huh? He's like, that's not for free. Uncle, like, Keith paid for it, you idiot. You know what I mean?
That's great.
But yeah, it's classic. It's classic. It really is. But yeah, no. Go ahead, Motts.
Yeah, so our boy Jersey Shore was wondering any significance behind wearing 7-7.
I wore 72 my whole career, and then Bob came to Florida and got me a Rolex for his number. And I don't know why. Honestly, I wanted to stay with the 7s. I never wore 7 or 77 growing up. I actually wore number 13 in college and in junior. So honestly, I just like the way it looks. It's a shooter's number, so that's why I wear it.
Yeah, so
lucky.
Was 72 your first training camp number?
Yeah, and I just stayed with it.
I mean, that means just getting sent down, like, unless you really light it up. It's like, you're like, oh man, I think I was 76 one year, and I'm like, oh boy. You just look at it in the stall, you're like, oh, I'm getting sent down. But yeah, but that's cool that you kept it. And moving on to 77, yeah, it is a little bit of a shooter's number, and some great plays. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Bork too. You can always throw it back to that. Decent Boston history there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
No, this has been great.